Good afternoon, welcome back for another week of Daily Fantasy Golf. I'm Chris Terrell, and I'm here for dailyfantasysportsrankings.com, DFSR.com for short, and I'm going to be going over my top plays from the 8K range up to the top for the Travelers Championship. So I'm going to navigate you through DFSR.com to get to my golf article and show you how to pick up a copy of the cheat sheet. It is free to all users. So right at the top of the article, it's actually quite easy. You can click right on the image here. It's going to open up a Google tab here for the Google Sheets. You can also click on the ownership trend sheet here, and it's going to bring up tournament by tournament trend sheet that I make. It shows you up to date DraftKings points, salary, and GPP average ownership for every tournament. So we'll start out with the cheat sheet. As I show you every week, the best thing to do is go up to File, make a copy, name it whatever you want, and click OK. It's going to allow you to sort any of these columns going forward, as well as adjust your own model. I'm not going to get into my model. You can have a look at it a little bit closer, or just read into the article. So jump right in here. Some of my top plays this week, I'm going to be looking at Rory McIlroy at the top. I think he makes a good GPP play. One note is it's been a long time since I've noticed. I have to go back and look. But the top 3 players in salary on DraftKings this week, all of them fall outside the top 20. Well, Jason Day's 20th, but all of them, none of them are inside the top 10 overall sheet. So it's definitely a GPP range for me this week. I think McIlroy leads the way. He's coming off a U.S. Open, a little bit disappointing, missed cut. The new putter didn't look so great, but on the upside, he did finish out very strong with 4 birdies in his last 6 holes before missing the cut, and he gained actually in the second round alone 6.2 strokes off the tee plus approach. So I think there's some positives moving forward with Rory. He's got something to prove here this week, so I'll be using him in GPP. Jason Day going to be fading, just looking at the stats, kind of scrolling over here a little bit. He did finish 18th in 2014 here, but he missed the cut in a big way last week, and it comes down to his strokes gained approach. He falls outside the top 100 in the sheet, so I'm not really looking at him. Jordan Spieth, he made the cut last week at the U.S. Open. He did struggle with the putter, finished down a little bit, but he does lead the field this week in strokes gained approach, and he's second in par 4 and 5 scoring. So I think he can possibly have a rebound and get up there on the leaderboard this week as well. Same as his buddy Justin Thomas, he's right there. He finished 3rd here last year. He does well on short courses. He's coming in with some nice form. A top 10 at the U.S. Open last week, and he fits the stats model as well. So number 7, he's actually the highest ranked guy in that 10K plus range. So dipping down into the 9K range, Paul Casey comes out on top. He's probably going to be one of the highest owned guys. Kind of jumping over to Fanshare Sports here for a minute, looking at the updated tags list. He leads everyone in tags, and he's tied for first in start recommendations. So I like using him in cash. I'm going to have him a little bit in GPPs, but probably not a whole bunch, because the guy I'm going to be pivoting to in GPPs just from an ownership standpoint is going to be Patrick Reed. He's finished 11th and 18th in 2013 around a couple missed cuts here. So he's had some good success here. It's up and down, so I think his ownership is probably going to be at least 5% less than Casey. I think that makes him a nice pivot. And he's also got some nice form, top 25s in 4 of his last 5 tournaments. So he's kind of knocking on the door of a top 10 or even another win for his career. So he, again, another reason why he's GPP. He falls, he's 83rd in strokes gained approach, so that gets me a little bit, the good drive percentage, greens in regulation from those key areas. He doesn't really fit, but we know what kind of player is. He scrambles well. Those stats are kind of skewed a little bit by this year. He was struggling a bit, missed some cuts early, but I think he makes a good GPP play, pivoting off Casey and also pivoting off Snedeker, my next pick here. Snedeker I'll be using in cash, 6th overall in the model. Played here twice in the last 5 years. Finished 10th and 11th, T10, T11 in those 2 years, so really good. He's coming off a nice finish at the U.S. Open, so the form is there as well. He's got a good putter, which putting's going to be a bit, not as important this week. I just think with a little bit slower greens. But I think he can possibly gain some strokes putting, and that'll definitely help him out there. He can make up for it in the par 3s. As you can see, he's 23rd in par 4 scoring, so he's got that down for him as well. And then he's top 10 in birdie or better percentage and 21st in bogey avoidance, and he's also a really good scrambler. So I think he fits, definitely going to be a safe play for me this week. Marc Leishman, I'm fading just for a couple of reasons. just because of he was really trending last week. His salary jumped a whole bunch this week. I don't have my trend sheet up here, but I believe he jumped like 2,500 more than anyone else in this range, in this 9K range. And I just from a tournament standpoint, I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to use Leishman because he does fit the profile very well. He does, like all these other guys in this 9K range. He has a nice tournament history. He won the event in 2012, T9 last year, coming in with some pretty good form here, top 35s in his last 4 tournaments. So just kind of from an ownership standpoint, I think I'm going to be going down a bit, up to Patrick Reed or down to Daniel Berger here. Berger finished T5 last year. He's another GPP play for me. I think he's going to be possibly under 10%. He missed the cut last week at the U.S. Open, might help keep his ownership down, as well as just seeing Leishman's net record. It's a pretty overloaded range with only 3 or 4 top guys at the top. So I think he could actually fall under 10% again this week, and he kind of fits the bill. And actually looking at that key range, greens in regulation, he's actually 3rd, and from 100 to 125, 35th from 125 to 150. So that also helps make him a nice play this week. Brendan Steele's another player I'll be using in my cash games this week. Down at the bottom of this 9K range, he's finished top 25 4 straight years here at this course, coming off a 13th at the U.S. Open. And he's actually made 16 to 17 cuts this season with 4 top 10. So he's been extremely consistent. I think you can trust him in cash games as well. Going to be fading Brian Harman this week. He's at the top of the 8K range this week. He had a huge boost, $2,300 in salary. Likely going to see a spike in ownership after coming in runner-up at the U.S. Open. And something else that doesn't really strike me this week, even though he's 11th in the overall model, he's 115th in strokes gained approach on the cheat sheet, so that kind of has me steer away from him. Tony Finau is another guy I would recommend using in cash as well. He finished top 25 here the last 2 years, so he's got course history. Coming in with not the greatest of form in his last 4 tournaments. He did finish 3rd 5 tournaments ago. But he has been very consistent, and he also fits the stats model as well. As you can see, he's 26th and off the tee, 15th in strokes gained approach. The short approaches here, from the greens in regulation, 100 to 125, he kind of struggles. But if he's going to be laying up at all and in that 125 to 150, 150 to 175 range on some of those holes, he's going to be good to go there. And then, looking at his par 4, he's 6th. 17th in par 5, so he's a guy I'll definitely be looking at this week. The 8K range I don't really like a lot. As you can see, there's a lot of fades here in this range. Kyle Stanley and Jim Furyk are up next. Kyle Stanley, again, just mostly from an ownership standpoint, he's being mentioned about as much as Finau, but I like Finau a little better. He's got a better ranking in the official world golf rankings. He's got some better stats, and he's had more success here. As you can see, Stanley's missed 3 of his last 4 cuts here, TPC River Highlands, so that kind of scares me away as well. Furyk I'll be fading as well. The form's just not there. He finished T5 last year, but he came in, I think he made 5 or 6 cuts in a row coming into last year's event when it was held in August. So I just don't see his form there this week, and think some people might be on him just because, see that T5 that he finished last year and 23rd at the U.S. Open. I will be fading him this week. Watson was my cover boy in my article. I see him as kind of a GPP play only. I know he's got sparkling. He's won here twice, and he's got top 5s in 3 of his last 5. He's made 9 straight cuts here at TPC River Highlands. So he's been really good here for that. He's going to be high owned. So if you want a piece of Bubba Watson, you have to be a little bit overweight. So if he's projecting 28-30% range for GPPs, you're probably going to want 30+% just to be a little bit overweight on him if you're going to use him in tournaments. But he's got that sparkling course history, and he's number 2. The difference, you can really attack this course in a couple ways. Last year Russell Knox won with his accuracy and approach shots. Bubba Watson, the year he won, 2015, he gained strokes off the tee while he was kind of average, not ranked inside the top 20 in driving accuracy, greens in regulation, or putting. So you can kind of attack it 2 ways, and that's one way Bubba Watson can attack it. So I think he makes a good play this week. Zach Johnson not being talked about a whole bunch that I've seen so far. I think his form's starting to trend in the right direction. 63rd, 40th, T27 last week. He finished 6th here in 2015, made the cut last year. I just don't think he's being talked about a whole bunch, so he's kind of my favorite, I guess, pivot contrarian play in this 8K range. Getting away from Kevin Tway and Daniel Summerhays, Tway did finish 26th here in 2014. His forms kind of went down a bit since his hot run in April and May, so I'm just going to kind of stay away from him. Daniel Summerhays, he finished T11 last year, but he missed 3 cuts before that. And then looking at some of his stats, he's 111th in strokes gained approach, 116th in par 4 scoring. So that right there, those are my top 2 stats, so that has me stay away from him. Down at the bottom of the ridge, finishing off the 8Ks, is Chad Campbell. I think he's going to be a nice GPP play this week. He missed the cut here last year, but he did finish 25th and 7th before that. So he has had some success here in the past. He's coming in with some nice form with 13th, 34th, and 10th in his last 3 tournaments. And then some of his stats that actually stick out. He's 21st in strokes gained approach, 15th in drive and accuracy, 4th and 3rd in greens and regulation from 100 to 125 and 125 to 150. And he's also top 30 in both par 4 and par 5 scoring. And he's actually first in this field in bogey avoidance on my sheet. So I think he makes a good GPP play this week. Even actually at this moment, considering him possibly for cash games, but the cash game lineups I've made to this point, I haven't had to dip much into this 8K range. Besides, like I said, Tony Finau, he's kind of at the top, and then Brendan Steele in the low 9s. So those are my favorite plays and fades for cash games and GPPs in the 8K and up range. I'm going to try and do a video covering some of my favorite plays in the 7 and 6K range this week. If not, I might be doing a live stream and also chat in the DFSR chat room later today. And to find that, whether you're on my article page or any page on the DFSR website, you can just click on the public chat room. That's where I'm going to be. You can also click on the little chat bubble. If you want to do some private messaging, just find my name on the list, should be near the top, and you can private message me tonight and go over some of your lineups if you feel like. Make sure to like the video, hit subscribe so you can get notifications when the next video comes out. I do videos for, like I said, PGA, usually one for NASCAR, and some baseball ones throughout the week as well. Be doing NFL and hockey when it comes around as well. Thank you for watching. Let's see some green screens this week, and good luck, everyone.